Hi there. So, welcome to the impromptu series on the art of teaching that I'm doing. And this is the third episode. And in this episode, I do want to talk about something very uh, close to me, an emotion that I closely connect with anger and getting angry. So, as a teacher, you can ask yourself, have you gotten angry? Have you been angry and mad, reacted based on that emotion in while you were teaching class? Sure, it would have happened, and it has happened to me. But one thing that on the outset that I can guarantee to you is, especially with my experience, that anger doesn't really help. Anger almost always makes things worse. If that there's a type of anger, there's that type of raw, authentic, really personal anger that doesn't help. So when I really very closely analyze my experiences, my own experiences, I remember in 2011, and among one of the first sessions I've done on management accounting, there was a incident where I had given the break, and then I had gone out of the lecture hall, and then I was walking, and I had something in my mind, and I was walking, and in the staircase, I was getting off the staircase, and in the staircase, a bunch of my own students were sitting, and I had no space to just push through, and I was in a hurry, and I looked at it, and I realized what I did was I referenced it to how we would have lived and how we as students behaved, and I thought, okay, this is not something we would do when we were young. What are these students doing? I asked that question myself, and I went out. After the break, I came back. I came back so angry, right? So angry, so mad. I was angry. I came into the lecture hall. I got onto the stage. Management accounting aside, I was just all that anger, all that, and I didn't really even know what the hell was going on. I mean, why was I exactly angry? I think I was angry because they did something that we wouldn't have done. But look, you're looking at a 20-year-old guy, just coming and teaching or whatever. Right? Imagine how it would go. So I was scolding and scolding and scolding. I went on for about 20 minutes. This is not the way you behave. This is what you do. Is this how students are supposed to behave? What is this? I was granting, no control, so mad, so angry. I'm sure external factors also would have helped. Two girls in the lecture hall started crying. They started crying. That is when I kind of came and kind of sense hit me. And I was looking at the girls. They're crying now. Now I'm at a loss for words. My anger was like out of the bucket. It was gone. I was thinking, what the hell am I gonna do? What have I done? Did you mess this up? Oh my God, why did you do this? And that entire incident, right? The way I handled it after, somehow, I spoke to them immediately. Even at that time, I went up to them and I spoke to them. And even after the lecture, I spoke to them and I kind of handled it. But that entire, I mean, that really put anger into perspective to me. I'm glad it happened very early on, right? But you're a young chap, you get angry. So that is that. I think that incident really was a big factor, big contributing factor to me, because the way I teach, I'm very personally invested in my delivery. I am very personally invested in my students. I think about them, I think about their lives, I think about giving them the right advice. And if someone is going through any trouble, I mean, I'm very personally invested. So I'm sure, like, for teachers or lecturers or instructors, whoever you are, you're just coming and delivering something, delivering a piece of content and just going back home, then for you, this probably might not be for you, right? But I'm sure that there are teachers, because when I was learning, there were so many teachers who were personally invested in us. That's why we became like this. So in that sense, uh, anger, the type of anger that is very detrimental to content delivery and teaching is this type of anger that I went through, which is very personal, very emotional, very internal, and that is why you need to very carefully manage it. And you can't get personal with your anger is definitely not an emotion that you want to mix your personal matters with and all that. So over my entire lecturing career, spanning what, about now 11 12 years, I can tell you that there are about 4 5 incidents throughout this entire time period where I have really got angry. And some of the incidents were not really fueled by student behavior, but some external behavior, right? Externally, what I was going through, my personal life. Something would have been going through. I remember back in 2016, a very unfortunate incident that I really regret. And normally I wouldn't do, was in my personal life, I was going through a tough time. Like in every way, I imagine yourself in the middle of war, and all the enemy tankers and fighter jets and the cavalry and the foot soldiers, and everyone's targeting you and attacking you. So I was in that time period, I was in a position like that in my life. Everyone was out to get me. So and then I was lecturing also. During one of these incidents, I had come out of the break, come out at the break, and then I had a call. That call was a disastrous call. I shouldn't have made it during that interval of the break. I went back. Then a bunch of students, they were not very well behaved also. So they were anyway noted, but I'm not one to get mad with that kind of students. But a bunch of students started, getting on my nerves. And then a particular incident happened, and the internal, the internal boogeyman kind of expressed himself, which is again a very unfortunate incident that I'm not very proud about. But one of the recent ones, I think one of the last incidents that I can remember when I got really angry, and it really reflected very poorly on my behavior, was in 2017. I had put in about, I was owed my labor, right? The fees for my hard work for about, I think, a good 8 months worth of work by a man. And this man had promised me several times that he would help me out, and I had a personal commitment at the time, a very important one, something very personal, something health related. And I was expecting this payment on a particular date. I went into a different lecture. Was there about 40 students were in front of me, and I got this call. And my phone is switched off, or I cannot be reached. But because it was from that person, I saw it and I took the call. This person is giving me the same lie that he used to give. And I mean, all that aside, right, I got so mad and angry because I had made certain promises. So this was a money matter. I was so angry, I started screaming in the phone. All the students were watching, and I'm not a very I have no stage fear or whatever. So I mean, crowds don't really get to me. And these were students, they knew me very closely, so they were very accepting. So if any of you watch it, was it Umar's batch, I think. I was screaming and things that I normally don't say in front of students, not exactly filth, but the harsh tone and the harsh language that I can use, or I could use, I used it. And then I hung up. The following 20-30 minutes in that lecture in front of my students was the worst, right? For me to really just get back to myself and explain to them what happened. I think I told them the story also. I mean, that's how I am. So that was very tough, very tough. So I'm glad that in this this long career, this has only happened a few times. I'm glad that that initial incident where those two girls cried, I'm glad it happened, because it taught me the lesson I needed to learn with anger. So I started managing my temper and anger and wielding it. That's where I arrive at this topic for the particular video I'm pitching, which is anger. Should you use it as a weapon or a tool? So I believe that anger can be a tool, not a weapon. Weapon is very bad. Weapon is negative. Weapon is no for weapons. With anger, truly it can be a very good tool. So that is when I remember, in fact, when I started closely thinking about it, how it worked out was, there was a teacher, a maths teacher, back at Kingswood when I was in school. His name is a wonderful person. It was Cappetipola, sir. We call him Kappa. His nickname, right? This man, right, incredible teacher, powerhouse of in maths. So he used to teach 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds mathematics, critical age where you want to get maths. And this, the image he had given us, the persona, we used to shiver in fear when we used to hear the name Cappetipola sir. And it's so much so that when he was teaching a class, nobody, even teachers are scared of walking by that classroom, right? So if we walk, he will come out with a broomstick or whatever. He'll whack the shit of us, right? And we used to be, and you meet him other than that, right? And I used to meet him a lot in the office when he's in the staff room or whatever, right? He's a very, very kind person, and he's a very talkative person. The laugh, very, very bright personality. So why was this man so angry? It always used to bother me and bother us, and we were in fear. No, we were scared. We were scared because we thought, man is always angry. You can't even walk by his class. In fact, I remember when I was in, I think, grade 10, I was always out of the class. So sometimes go to my classroom, like if I come back for the interval or whatever, to have my lunch, to get to my classroom, I have to pass the class that he is teaching. Sometimes, if it's a double period, especially if he's teaching for about 1 hour, 10 minutes, I don't even go to my class. So much afraid, right? And this is the thing. You walk by the class and then he catches you and he asks you to stop. You don't stop, you run away. He's gonna remember. This is going to come back to you. It's gonna come back biting. So imagine a man, right? A maths teacher who had instilled that much of fear among his students. And you know what I used to hear from all of his students after they come to A-levels? Almost all, and any A-level Kingswoodians who have learned from Cappetipola sir will tell you this. They all thank him. Because the way he teaches, the fear that he commanded, he wielded, which comes from the fact that it looks like he's angry. Looks like, we don't want him to be angry. We want to do the work. So the almost half of the class who wouldn't do maths otherwise, who wouldn't do the exercises, who wouldn't really learn, they all work hard because they are scared of him. Because they think they are scared of him. And the contrasting personality never really made sense. How can a bright man like that, someone who is really talkative, really expressive, outside the classroom, get so angry? Today when I think about that, I realize that Cappetipola sir was never really angry. He wasn't. Sir, wherever you are, I'm very thankful. I haven't learned from you. I haven't learned mathematics from you, but I know a lot of friends. Those friends would never have learned mathematics and passed and got their S. A lot of students, thousands of students who would have failed the subject, passed because of him. Hundreds of students who wouldn't have got the merit pass, the distinction pass, got the distinction, got their merit because of him. He was never really angry. He only made it look as if he was angry. Sure, there were, brief bursts of actual anger, but I know for a fact that the way he managed, he had built it. It was a strategy, right? Because for a man like that to get that respect and command and love from students, especially after they transition from his under his jurisdiction, under his tutelage, and then they get to A levels. Then they start. I mean, all these years we were afraid of him. We were scolding him. Suddenly, we are 18 years old, 19 years old. My friends are thanking him. Sir, because of you only, we did the work. We passed. Then you realize this man is not an angry man. Right? I've seen that quality in a lot of trained, well-trained, highly educated, very intelligent, very smart teachers. And even teachers like Ranjit sir, right, looks angry but he's never angry. Vellangiriya sir, right, he looks angry but he's never really actually angry, right? These are men. And there are so many female teachers also, madams. So my very beloved, very beloved. So the lesson I draw from them, and a lesson that I hope to share with them, is as a teacher, these people, they were very conscious about their emotion, and they were never really angry, and they knew the power of anger. They didn't discard anger, they used anger, they wielded it, not as a weapon to hurt, not as a weapon to diminish, not as a weapon to subjugate, not as a weapon to I don't know, demonize. No, it was used as a tool, very strategically, very smartly. In fact, the incidents that I remember very well, even in my personal life, after my initial incident, I realized anger can be a very dangerous thing, and I started wielding anger very carefully and tactically. And that is how over the years I started learning and drawing inspiration from all my teachers that I shared with you, Cap Petipolo sir, Ranjit sir. What I realized was a teacher who looks angry, right? A teacher who expresses anger, looks angry, a smart teacher. The moment that he seems angry is the moment that he is least angry. You get what I'm saying? You get my vibe, right? The times as a teacher when we see he's really angry, when Capati Polisa was chasing us with the cane, that is the moment that he is least angry. He's very conscious of what he's doing. It's amazing. So what I'm trying to say is, one, my examples, anger hasn't really helped me. Yeah, and that personal, emotional, very personal anger as a teacher, it doesn't help you. I mean, that entire session can go wrong and can go bad, and it can even create a bad image and a bad memory in students about you, and the rest of the entire session can be damaged because of one moment. So personal, that kind of anger is not good. But anger is not something, temper is not something that you should discard, especially if you're a very dedicated, very committed, very personally invested teacher, much like myself. It can be a very useful tool, but only when wielded smartly and carefully and impersonally. Because you can be angry, but you can never be angry at your students. You shouldn't be. Whether the student is the worst student in the world, naughtiest, right, or creepiest, I don't know, the most troublesome student in the world, we cannot as teachers, it is our absolute responsibility to never ever be angry at the students. We can be angry in general if it is able to harness a certain amount of command, and if we can project it onto our students to get them into action, to do something. And those actions that we push students to do must always be positive. They must always be positively reinforcing the student's life, the student's education, the student's behavior. We should never use our anger. And the other thing is, with anger, If you're out of control, and I've seen plenty of examples, and I didn't really want to bring out many of these examples, negative examples, I know, but one thing I can tell you is that those of them who are really angry all the time, they're angry people. And as a teacher, you can't teach if you're angry. I've seen teachers or people who tried to teach, uh, who had very temporary lives as teachers, who failed utterly and bitterly in their career. So if you are aspiring to be a teacher, don't discard anger. It can be useful. Wield it like a tool. Never ever use it as a weapon. And that will be a fine example, a beautiful example for all your learners, for all your students. God bless you. Stay safe. I'll see you soon. Thank you.